Unlimited fam, today I want to talk a little bit about abuse. I want to share a story with you guys. When I was about 10 or 11 years old, my mom decided to marry a guy. His name is Russell. And after about a year of them being married, around, I guess, he started abusing us, not just verbally, but physically. He would even have his friends hold me down as he beat the shit out of me all the time. And I know I was pretty bad. I was a bad kid, but there's a huge difference between discipline and abuse. And I actually went to jail, went to not just juvenile hall, but to a boys' camp because of the abuse that he would impose upon me and my mom. And I'll tell you the ending of that story and what happened. But today, I want to talk a little bit to people that are abusers. Life has a funny way of repeating itself. And statistically, if you grew up in a family that you were being abused, you're going to abuse your children or your spouse. And this goes for males and females. It's much more prevalent with males abusing females, but it happens both ways. But statistically, you're supposed to mimic your parents or your caregivers. And so if you grow up in this environment, an abusive environment, you're going to most likely end up doing this to your spouse if you get married, or your boyfriend or your girlfriend. And so I want to talk about recognizing some signs, right? If you know that you have this predisposition, right? You were raised this way and you had no choice over this. You had no agency over who your parents were or are, and what they ended up being, right? If they're abusers or not. But you certainly have agency to break the chain now. And that's what I really want to talk about, is recognizing that you have a problem and you need to break the chain. And the best thing I could say is, if you can, seek a therapist. That's the absolute best thing to do. The second piece of advice that I could give you is understand and accept the fact that you have a temper problem, an anger management problem, and seek ways to ensure that you control yourself, because that's what it is a lack of control. A lack of control of your anger, a lack of control of your personal actions. And you need to acknowledge that and seek ways to not get so angry and not lose control. And unfortunately, I'm part of this statistic. I was in a relationship where we were both abusive to each other, verbally as well as physically and mentally. But we were products of our environment. We saw our parents doing this. We saw our friends' parents doing this. And it becomes normal to suffer abuse or to inflict abuse upon each other. And I'm here to tell you it's not normal. I've had many relationships after this relationship without any abuse on either side, okay, on either side. And yelling, screaming, cussing, all the way to hitting, shoving, slapping is not normal. It's not something that you're supposed to do in a relationship. And you have to recognize that. But you also have to recognize that this is instilled behavior. You didn't wake up, right, one day and say, I'm going to start abusing. nor did you come out of the birth canal thinking, I'm going to be a violent person and abuse the person that I'm with. So it all stems from our background and our learned behavior. But the chain can be broken, and I'm here right now telling you that you absolutely have control over breaking that chain. I want to talk to you a little bit about the story that I started with. So Russell not only would have friends hold me down as he beat the shit out of me, but he would beat my mom on a regular basis. And I watched my mom go from what I think was a normal type of relationship before Russell to, with me, to a very neglectful relationship. She wasn't around. She was always drunk. She started drinking and was always drunk. And Russell was always high. And it just led to this very disruptive, abusive environment at home. And oftentimes I would come home and my mom would be drunk and Russell would, be beating the shit out of her. And one day I just got enough. I was about 12 and I just couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take the abuse or take watching the abuse anymore. So I went into Russell in my mom's bedroom and got a gun that I knew that he had in his drawer. And I went out into the living room and I pointed the gun at him and I said, stop it. Stop hitting my mom. And he looks over at me and then I just shot. Thank God I didn't kill him. Thank God. But I was removed from my home. I was sentenced to a boys' camp for 2 years, and it was hard. It was hard, and I think the hardest part is right after that happened, my mom passed away while I was at the boys' camp, and it was very hard to deal with as a kid because now I'm all alone. I didn't have any family. I didn't have anyone really. I just had my mom and this abuser, Russell. So it led to a very difficult childhood, but obviously I've been able to overcome a lot of stuff and been able to help other people not take the path that I had to take in order to get here. And that's why I do what I do. But abuse is such a horrible thing because it's a cycle. And oftentimes you don't even recognize the fact that you're in an abusive relationship and you're just dealing with it and you're just staying around while he or she abuses you physically or verbally. And of course, both lead to mental abuse. And you don't have to take it. And if you're the abuser, you don't have to be this way. It's learned behavior. You were taught this, inadvertently taught this, and you don't have to be like this. You do have control over your emotions. You have control over your anger, and you definitely have control over your actions. So to put your hands on another person is wrong, and we know that. We lose our temper, and then we act, and we don't think. So I'm here to help you think before you act. And it took me effort. It took me a lot of effort. I was enrolled in anger management classes even back when I think I was about 21, 22 years old, because I had a bad temper. It was really, really bad. But this wasn't my fault. Really, it was my mom and my stepfather's fault, and for letting this cycle continue. But I'm telling you, you're going to pass this trait on to your children, and they're going to become abusers just like you, or they're going to become victims that just deal with it just like you. So please break the chain now. You don't have to let the cycle continue through generations and generations. It can end with you. All right, guys, I appreciate you listening. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to go to www.upna.net if you want some personal one-on-one life coaching. I'm here to help, and I'm here to help you with any aspect of your life that you feel like you can use some help with. I'm here to just listen if you want just to talk. All right, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Happy Motivational Monday. Peace.